வாழ்க வையகம், வாழ்க வையகம், வாழ்க வளமுடன். Be blessed by the divine bliss of G.S. Amrit. Food habits and world peace. A global report published last year by the World Meteorological Organization in Geneva says that water-related hazards like floods and droughts are increasing because of climate change. I can really understand this sitting here in Bangalore. The number of people suffering water stress is expected to soar, exacerbated by the population increase and dwindling availability of water. But management, monitoring, forecasting, and early warnings are fragmented and inadequate, whilst global climate finance efforts are sufficient, according to multi-agency report. According to figures cited in the report, a whopping 360 crore people had inadequate access to water at least 1 month per year in 2018. By 2050, this is expected to rise to more than 500 crores, or 50% of the expected population. Just one sec. Okay. The world is thirsty because it is hungry. As population increases, more stress is placed on finite resources like water. There are alternatives for energy, but there is no alternative for water and air. To feed more people, with world population set to hit 1,000 crores by 2050, farmers must grow more crop. Farmers get their irrigation water either from rivers or from underground aquifers. An aquifer is an underground layer of water-bearing permeable rock from which groundwater can be extracted using a water well. We are seeing more and more countries drilling into their aquifers and overpump their waters. Depleting aquifers to grow food is the definition of the term unsustainable. In Bengaluru, most of the societies have to dig 2,000 feet or more already to get the borewell water. It takes about 1,500 liters of water to produce a kilogram of wheat, and it takes an astounding 10 times more to produce the same amount of beef. A kilo of bananas will set you back roughly by 790 liters of water. An egg, about 200 liters. 1 liter of milk takes roughly 1,000 times more water to produce, that is 1,000 liters. Chocolate is the worst offender. Vegetarians, please take note. It costing 17,196 liters of water to produce a single kilo. Fortunately, we eat only a few grams of chocolate at a time. Also, chocolate manufacturing is done by crushing the tiny insects along with cocoa, as it is impossible to separate the same during the manufacturing process. So every time we eat chocolates, they are increasing our sin imprints twice. Okay, this is what I understood in a nutshell from the detailed report, which I'll read out now. Growing non-veg food requires much more water than vegetarian food. See table, just hold on, I'll share a table. Yes, that is a table which shows how much water is required for producing 1 liter or 1 kilogram of various food items. Secondly, water is becoming scarce. Thirdly, the available resource of water may not be able to support 1,000 crore people in 2050 or 2060. So we must learn to live on vegetarian food so that the scarce water resource will be able to support at least a vegetarian world of 1,000 crores. Simultaneously, we must make all efforts to bring population control measures, both soft and hard measures, to control the population boom. All efforts till now haven't produced desired results. Point number 7, as more and more people have started eating tamasic, non-vegetarian food, their mental ability for love and compassion is greatly affected, thus making the people at large war-centric and anger-minded. Next point, measures are to be taken up at the UN level as called for by the IPCC, that is Interplanetary Coordination Committee, which is headquartered in Delhi. It's an organization under the UNO. Earth will be a better place only if we conserve water resource and reduce climate damage by shifting to vegetarian food. Control of population explosion is the need of the hour, and we need to push for it as a group, community, nation, and at the United Nations level. Swamiji says that food, clothing, and shelter are the basic requirements for existence, whereas man lavishes much more care on clothes, the sole purpose of which is to safeguard the modesty of the individual and also a place to reside in. He seems careless in all matters relating to food, eating unhygienic or unsuitable food with drastic effects on his body. Although literature passed on through the generations from the times of sages and seers of yore is replete with importance of eating good food in a proper manner, all this remains largely ignored and improper eating habits continue to rule the roost. So let us see what Swamiji has to say about food and food habits. Swamiji has given us encyclopedic knowledge covering every subject, including food. Many speakers already dealt with most of his teachings about food in this forum. But here is some basic information taken mainly from Swamiji's writings and speeches. Question: why does man need food? Many of us may have thought about this question, but Swamiji asks us this question and provides the answer too. Man lives on this planet Earth, which rotates at a speed of about 1042 miles per hour. Hence, the surrounding pressure force or the absolute space creates an attractive force at its center called centrifugal force. Besides, the rotation of the Earth also creates a repulsive or outward force aimed at its periphery called the centripetal force. The physical body is made up of millions of cells. The infinitesimal energy particles that make up the cells have acquired an upward mobility through the process of evolution involving millions of years and thousands of generations. As a result of the repulsive force, these energy particles are constantly thrown up and are lost from the bodies of the living beings continuously. At the same time, the worn-out cells in the body fall away on account of the excuse me. On account of the gravitational pull of the Earth, millions of cells that make up the flesh, nerves, bones, skin, etc. of the human body are thus lost every day. However, fresh cells are being produced by the body all the time from the food, water, and atmosphere to make good the loss. If you want to test this, you can take only water on one whole day and you will observe a reduction of 50 to 200 grams in your body weight the next morning. Each one of us is thus postponing death day after day by making good what we have lost from our body. This is life. Next question. What is the ideal food for man? The ideal food for humankind will be the one which can elevate him mentally and spiritually, says Swamiji. The spinal cord, in the case of animals, remains parallel to the ground, as a result of which they look down towards the earth while foraging for food. They exist with their heads hanging down, pointed towards the earth all the time. Plants and trees, on the other hand, live with their heads high, growing towards the sky. Man with his upright spinal cord should therefore survive on these plants, their fruits and vegetables, rather than eating the lowly fish, the lowly flesh, says Swamiji. Once, during the course of his visits to the USA, Vedatri Maharshi was asked about the quantity of food which can be taken without any ill effects, to which he replied, I cannot specify the quantity because it depends on the individual. All I can say is that if you are used to eating at 8 p.m., the quantity of food taken at noon should be just enough to make you hungry by 7 p.m. What are the reasons for hunger? The urgent need to replace the energy particles expelled from the body gives a pulling sensation all over the body. This feeling is reflected in the digestive system, which forms the primary source of nourishment for the body. This is called as hunger, which has to be appeased through the intake of food. Lack of food gives rise to two types of problems, namely, one, hydrochloric acid produced by the body to assist in digestion begins to act on the walls of the stomach, leading to pain and ulceration. Two, lack of nourishment leads to weakness and other ailments. Swamiji says that no man should ever be destined to suffer the pangs of hunger. Every individual is an asset of the society, even though people look upon themselves as separate entities. It is fallacious ignorance at best. Each person is physically, mentally, and spiritually a part of the society to which he belongs. Economic disparities in the form of rich and poor may be common, but the pangs of hunger, the agony suffered by the poor, will have their impact on the rich ultimately. The 6 states, astringency, bitterness, pungency, sourness, sweetness, and salty, are the 6 tastes normally identified by the tongue. Example, bitter nut, bitter gourd, ginger, chilies, lemon, tamarind, jaggery honey, and common salt. Swamiji says the taste is basically the same. It is a level of conversion undergone by the BM that makes the taste appear different. Also, what appears as a specific taste at a particular level of transformation may seem different when the level of conversion changes. The 6 tastes are part of all objects, with the predominant one alone being identified by the tongue, while the others remain hidden. Meat and other animal foods tend to bring out the baser qualities in man. Yet, Maharshi has never compelled anyone to give up eating meat at once, as he had found that even in the US and Europe, those who are doing sky meditation regularly would give up non-vegetarian voluntarily and gradually, despite living in cold countries, which normally require to eat non-veg food as a tradition. Let the fruits ripen by themselves has always been Swamiji's motto, and the change will then be permanent. The next question is about the pain that trees may have to suffer when their fruits or flowers are being plucked, which calls for some scientific analysis on the sensation of pressure and pain. When the leaves or fruits are being plucked, no doubt it produces temporary pain, but this is immediately transferred to the earth, where the roots of the plant are firmly embedded. In other words, the loss of polarity which produces the pain is set right by transferring the disturbance to the earth through the roots of the plant. The pain, therefore, does not linger as in the case of other living beings. The roots of the tree act as a conductor and correct the irregularities with the help of Mother Earth. If the branches of the plants are cut, they will grow back, so it is vegetarian. Milk produced by plant-eating animals is vegetarian because milk, for example, is again available after a certain period of time. Organisms that move cannot regrow if they are cut off and also feel extreme pain. So eating them is considered tamasic or very sinful. That means cow milk is vegetarian and cow meat is non-vegetarian. Similarly, plants which do not suffer lasting pain can be eaten without undue feelings of guilt. That is why all Yogic Purush used to avoid root vegetables, where the entire root is also plucked out. Food and soul. It may be observed that every item of food infuses certain qualities in the individual, whereas the food served by a certain individual may be taken with relish. The same item served by another may not seem appealing. The quality of the individual, his personality, and thoughts are the reason behind this. All of them have a strong influence on the things a person touches or uses. The traits of the person are reflected in the food prepared by and served by him. The food cooked by one's mother is always the best. Nothing in the world can ever beat it in taste or quality. At the same time, the food served in the hotels or other eateries is never tasty because such places do not cater to the people with their well being in mind. Even though some persons used to eating in the hotels with relish find it difficult to appreciate the food prepared in their own homes. What an irony. The quality of the food, the ways in which the materials are procured, and the quantity consumed all have a role in the growth of the body and also the mind. The qualities of a woman of the house can be evaluated by the quality of the food prepared and the manner in which it is served by her. Even they can also err at times for some reason, which should be overlooked. The efforts behind it must be appreciated, and the food eaten with relish and gratitude. It is your duty to appreciate the food and the efforts behind it every time you sit for a meal, says Maharishi. Let me now share the story of Dr. Abdul Kalam's father. Once, when APJ Kalam sir was a young boy, the family sat for dinner. His mother served two overburnt rotis to his father. His father ate it without any murmur and also commented that the rotis were tasty. The boy knew his father was not telling the truth, so he accosted his father after the dinner when they were alone and asked about the incident. His father said that he knew there was not much dough or atta left behind in the kitchen. So if he had rejected those two rotis, Abdul's mother would have given two better rotis to him and eaten these herself. And he knew that she goes without food also on many nights. So he quietly ate it and did not have much difficulty. Then the boy's respect for his father increased even further. The three gunas, all things in the universe, including man, are controlled by the three gunas, namely sattvic or sattva, rajas or rajasic, tamas or tamasic. Tamas is characterized by insolence, emotions, and the desire to harm others. The quality of sattva reflects moderation and the ability to foresee the results of any deed. Rajasic prompts one to indulge in pleasures which ultimately lead to pain. All the three gunas are part of the human nature, manifesting in the form of deeds, and food habits go a long way in regulating the gunas in man. These have already been explained in detail by others also in this forum. Moderation in 5. We all know that moderation in food, work, rest, sex, and thoughts is important. Neglect, overindulgence, or improper practices can lead to pain and misery, followed by diseases. Every action has to be tempered with awareness regarding the past experiences, the present circumstances, and the possible outcome in the future. Planning and proper execution are essential. Everyone has a responsibility to eat well, but only in moderate quantities. Food has to be transformed into the body and is essential for survival, but failure to observe limit and method transforms the body into food for the others, says our master. Food should be chewed and allowed to mix with the saliva, which softens even the hard items before transferring it to the stomach. The process may be compared to the manner in which tame elephants are used to break in the newly captured wild ones before putting them to work. Saliva makes the food easy to digest. Nowadays, we are used to eating fast food faster by just gulping it, which leads to indigestion. Preventing the onset of diseases is always better than curing it with the help of medicines. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So goes the old adage. The physical body and society looking after one's health and well-being is not a selfish act because the body and mind of every individual are the assets of the society. Taking care of one's body is therefore equal to safeguarding a property that belongs to the society. Good health enables a person to serve the society and the world well. A sick person, besides being unable to serve the society, has also to be taken care of by it at its cost, which undoubtedly is a loss to the individual as well as the society. It is therefore important to safeguard one's physical and mental health, which is not a selfish act, but a selfless one, performed with the welfare of the society in mind. At the same time, the individual should take care to see that his efforts to serve the society do not affect his own health also. See the unity of the world in every morsel of food. Pay back your dues through deeds that are always good, says Maharishi. Okay, so much about food habits. But where is world peace coming in this? And how is Swamiji's prediction of a world without war going to become a reality by 2050, as he has stated in his book on world peace, written long ago in 1953? The IPCC report says that the world leaders must realize sooner or later that the only way to survive with 1,000 crore population and dwindled water resources is by compulsorily switching 100% to vegetarian food before 2050. A group of leading scientists across the world are already pushing for raising the taxes on non-vegetarian foods commensurate with the amount of water consumed, which will ultimately make them unviable and obsolete by 2050. We have already seen how eating tamasic food leads to baser instincts and bad temperaments in men, which is why there is so many wars, so much ill health and miseries in the world today. The transformation of the world population to becoming vegetarians before 2050 will temper the bad temperaments and individual peace in most of the population and bring in individual peace in most of the population. And therefore, most of the people in the world will detest wars, unlike now. And this will help in realization of Swamiji's dream of a world without wars by 2050, as already predicted by him. He is truly a seer or visionary indeed. However, Swamiji must have also realized that his followers, being the ambassadors of peace, must spread his message and impart his teaching to more and more people so that more and more people choose sattvic way of living, reducing avoidable pain and misery, and thus hastening the process of achieving world peace. So we all must keep reminding ourselves and other sky members constantly to spread the sky system across the world as much as we can in order to bring world peace sooner than later and thus ensure a better world for our children and grandchildren. Finally, let me conclude by reciting a part of a beautiful poem that I read recently. The sounds of silence when the birds sing, the seas are free and the jungles are quiet. When all that Mother Nature asks for is to be just to be. May this be a new healthy beginning. May we heal the world. May love conquer and greed lose. May war disappear and peace we choose. May we go back to our roots, save this planet and coexist. May the whole world enjoy prosperity, happiness and peace. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Thank you.